to another episode of Ask a STEM Sister. We have a very special episode today. This is our first face-to-face interview. As you can see, we are still, we're distanced, but it is nice now that vaccines are out there that we are able to now engage with some of our STEM sisters face-to-face. So welcome to another episode. I'm Dr. Bendu Bayan.
I'm Ami Bakare.
And we are the STEM sisters, and if you've never watched one of our videos before, what we do is speak to women in STEM about their STEM journeys and talk to them about hurdles that they've overcome along the way. And today we are super excited to have Philly G with us today. She is a geoscientist hailing from Indianapolis, Indiana, and has had every science job you can think of, from quality assurance at a major beverage manufacturer to product formulations for air fresheners. So we are super excited to have her with us in person today and to speak to her a little bit about this unique journey in STEM and to talk about what she is up to now as part of Glitter and Geodes?
Yes.
Glitter and Geodes. So welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
No problem. Okay. Well, I will kind of start off with just a, intro question.
Yes.
You got your bachelor's degree in Earth and Atmospheric Science. Now, Earth science is not something that either of us are into, but our father was actually a geologist. So we, we have an appreciation
That
for.
That is so cool.
Right? So we have an appreciation for what, Earth scientists do. He went to Purdue University,
Boiler up. You have to do something.
You have to do something. You have to go to school in Indiana.
We're not going to judge you.
We're not going to judge you. You have Purdue colors on.
Oh, God.
I was saying my whole family went to IU as well. My mom, my dad, my sister, her husband.
Well, big up.
So everybody else went to IU. It was just me.
It's okay. Well, you went to the right school for what you
definitely
wanted to do. So I want to hear a little bit about even getting to the point where you're like, okay, I'm A, going against the grain and going to Purdue.
Right.
B, I'm going to major in Earth and Atmospheric Science. How did you get there?
Definitely. So ever since I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut. And so that was my foray into science. And I went to, I don't know if you guys have heard, there was a science program. It was called NEPI.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was Minority Engineering Program in Indianapolis. And so I did that all throughout middle school. I might have done it in high school as well. And it was just the place that told me about science, and you're really good at science and you should try to be a scientist. And so that's how I ended up wanting to go to Purdue, because Purdue has graduated so many astronauts. The most famous one obviously is Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on the moon. He went to Purdue, so I said, I'm going to go to Purdue as well. But it was a really interesting way to get into geology, because at first I thought I wanted to do aerospace engineering. It turns out there's a lot of math in that, and that's not what we're going to do.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So I
good to know.
Yeah, it's good to know. And so then I thought I wanted to do physics. I thought I wanted to do astronomy, but it turns out that I'm really interested in looking for life on other planets, and I think that the way to do, there's so many ways that you can go about doing that. Yeah. So there are the physics and astronomy people look at spectral signatures. They look at light that comes from other planets, and you can qualify the light to see if there's life on there or not. But so what I'm interested in is looking in the rocks that are on other planets and seeing if potentially there's bacteria that could have been alive at some point, maybe not now, but in the past.
Look at you sound like a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, definitely like a sci-fi movie. So that's what I'm interested in, and that's how I got into Earth space and Earth science and all of that. So it was a long, complicated journey. I changed my major several times.
Okay, that was going to be my follow-up question. Was
winding path.
When you got there, so you had exposure early on, and then you got there, and you were like, what did you think your major was going to be?
I got accepted early admittance into Purdue. It was in September, and I got into the biology program. And so I got into biology. Biology was super hard, and I was like, because I always I was going to transfer to do engineering. couldn't do the math. So I took biology, I took physics. So I just moved around until I figured out.
Just going around the math.
All around, all the time. I just figured out what it was that I liked. So I'm really grateful that I had like support from my family to be able to really figure it out. I think it's unfortunate we make 18-year-olds figure out what they want to do for the rest of their lives. So, but I'm grateful that I was able to really figure it out. It took me a little bit longer to graduate because of it, but I did. I have a bachelor's degree.
Yes.
So, that's all that matters. It doesn't matter how long it takes you to get there. It just matters that you get there, if that's your goal.
Yes. Okay, love that.
Yeah.
But you know, you didn't stop there.
Oh no.
You didn't stop at the bachelor's. You went on to master it.
I did.
She mastered it. She went on to get her master's in environmental science from University of Virginia. So talk to me a little bit about that in between period. So you graduate from Purdue, you're like, okay, what the kids say, what's next?
Who's next?
Who's next? Yeah, I'm old guy doing it.
Yes.
Still, so how did you, okay, you graduated, you like, it's about to be lit. What happened?
Absolutely. So I graduated and I did what everyone does. I got a job, you know. I got a job at a staffing company. So my first job out of school, I call it my first big girl job. I worked for Nestle Beverages. They have a plant in Anderson, Indiana, where they make, I think they make all the chocolate milk and they make all the coffee made out there. And so I was one of the quality chemists. We had to check so many bottles every hour for various things. But that was always a temporary job. So then I got my second big girl job. I worked for S.C. Johnson, a family company. Yes. And so people don't know that there are people that are testing the formulations for each of the products before they go out onto the shelves. And so that was what I was responsible for. Every time there was a new fragrance that came out, we had to test it for technical safety and things of that nature, and I did that. And I absolutely hated that. So I think that's so important to know though, like, do you want to do industry or do you want to be in academia? And I just always knew that I wanted, well, from that point, I could tell that I wanted to be in academia. I could tell that there was an issue with an air freshener one time, and it was like gonna be the wrong color, and people were
People were up in arms.
and they're like, "Oh my God, it's supposed to be blue." I don't remember what color it was, but I remember sitting in this meeting thinking,
Does this man care?
I do not care what color it is. We caught it before it got to production. I did not see what the issue was, and that was the exact day that I opened my computer when I got back to my desk. I started looking for master's programs because I said, I'm not doing this anymore. So that's how I ended up at University of Virginia. Because again, I wanted to be an astronaut, so here I am making air fresheners.
Yeah.
There wasn't a connection there at all anyway, so it was like, wow, this money is spectacular, but it's just not worth it. So,
and I think that's important because we talked about that with previous STEMs and stars. That intersection where, like, you know, your training and your experience actually mesh with like your passions.
yes,
That's important because you will get to the job and like, oh, this is more money than I've ever seen
in my life.
in my entire life. This looks like it matches with my training. Like this is what my degree like says I should be doing. This job itself is trash. So how do I now then find, the next thing? So I'm so glad you shared that.
Yeah, definitely. So that's how I ended up at University of Virginia, and I got my master's in environmental science, which is just the umbrella. It's all earth science.
Sure.
It's called something different everywhere, but in earth science. So, yeah.
Okay, that is really interesting. So I'm curious, you've explained all these like different turns and twists that you've kind of taken, how, as she said, you were, running away from the map. But like, if you could tell like yourself as a freshman, like advice, what's the advice that you would have given yourself now looking back?
Gosh, that's a really good question. I think you just have to stick with it. I think I could have probably gotten to where I wanted to be if I had stayed in biology in the first place. So maybe had I just stuck that out. I think there's so many ways to get to where you want to be that sometimes people are going to get stuck on the path when really you have to be adaptable. So even if I stayed or had I moved, I think it's all getting me to where I want to be. So I think if people focus more on the end goal and not the path that it takes to get there, that's probably good to go. I probably should have, I take it back. I would tell myself to move faster. There's a quote and it's like, fail faster.
Fail fast, because that is my life
Yeah.
motto. If
You-
this is not working,
Let me know what.
let me know right now so I
Yeah.
can keep it moving.
There's no way to get around it. Like, you're not going to be successful at everything that you try, but the
Right.
more that you try and the more that you fail, the
Yeah.
closer that you're going to get to where you're supposed to be. in
I
life.
love
So,
that. I love that, and I want to reiterate your point, like where it's really not really I think the how you get there is important only because the experiences lend to your
Sure.
journey. So now that it's just a part of your story and like part of what made you who you are.
And it helps you to learn
It-
about yourself.
Yeah, so that part, yes, like you have to have the experiences because that's what makes you a person. But as you said, I mean, shameless plug for the biology majors out there.
Yeah.
People that the biology, the basic, chemistry or whatever those degrees because they're the basic
There's a
degrees.
base of everything.
You can go anywhere. Like people with
Absolutely.
chemistry degrees be doing whatever. Or you know what I mean, some of those basic degrees. So just shameless plug for those.
Yeah.
You don't have to be amazing at the math. But again, I do think that is like excellent advice. Like for any one of you who's like in the beginning of your college career or kind of like questioning, I would definitely take that advice myself.
Definitely.
Well, that was an awesome answer.
Thank you. Thank you.
And so now I want to know, what is the most rewarding part about the work that you do now? Because you have, you told us about like the not so great job, and like this ain't for me, this ain't it. And so what's the most rewarding part about the job that you have now?
I think the most rewarding part is just feeling like everything that I've done aligns.
Yes.
Everything that I've wanted to do, I get to do. I learn new things every day. And then also just being a scientist, I think it's very like flexible. We were just talking about during the pandemic, I didn't really have much to do, but I was still getting paid because it's still a very good job, So that job security is there. It's very flexible with my schedule. I actually really like my boss. I've never had that happen to me before, where I feel like my boss is qualified and I feel like he knows he's incredibly smart and he's thoughtful and he's caring.
Old
and it's
boss
like,
is catching strays.
oh yes,
Catching
well,
strays.
yes. I really like my coworkers for the most part.
Wow.
And
That's a big deal.
There's
Yeah.
always that for the most part.
That's
For the
a
most
big deal.
I'm not
though.
gonna claim all of them, but the majority of them.
Yeah.
It's wonderful. We like hang out, So
Oh, that is perfect.
it's really great to be a part of like a science family.
Yes.
So that's the good part.
I love that.
Yeah.
And I also, so how I, kind of identify with you and like the work you're doing.
Yes.
It's obviously your presence on social media.
Okay.
So can you tell us a little bit about how you decided, like, okay, I'm gonna step out there and bring my personality and my interest in science to social media, building a platform, and what that's been like for you so far?
Yeah, I've always been a part of science outreach programs. I told you guys about MePod. That's how I got interested in it. So I feel like, how do we attract more people to the sciences?
Yeah.
And that's why I was interested in doing it on social media, because I feel like that's how you get to people, people on TikTok, people on Instagram, people on YouTube. And so when I was at Purdue, I was a part of the Science Ambassadors, and I used to put on my own projects. We used to go into schools and do fun experiments with the kids, and that's always something that I wanted to do and I thought was exciting, and so that's what I thought I was going to be doing on social media, and it hasn't worked out that way just yet.
There's time.
There's still time, and so recently I've been just sharing my everyday life as a scientist.
I love it.
This is what I do, and this is how it starts, and this is what our goal is, and people have been really responding very well to it. So I'm having so much fun connecting and meeting new people. I love that. There's only like 5 Black girls in science anyway, and I'm pretty sure I found all 5 of them on the internet. So I love growing like this community and like supporting one another and finding out new and cool things all the time. So I really enjoy being a part of that science community. So
Yes, we love it. Now you're a STEM star.
Okay.
And I like that you said that you really just demonstrate your day-to-day life
That's
and
all I
just
do.
kind of giving people insight into that, because one of the things that I think sparked this channel for us was giving people an idea about what those maybe more obscure jobs are, or giving
Definitely.
people some insight into those things. Because we talked about it before, I'm in IT, she's a scientist. When you say that, people have a very odd idea in their mind of what they think that is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so being
Very
able to,
wrong.
it's very wrong. You're wrong. Because I definitely cannot fix your computer. I'm not your tech. I don't know how to do any of that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what sparked for us to get online and kind of just talk more about what do we actually do. So like if that's something that you're doing, that is amazing. And I'm sure that you have helped, you know, other young people out there to just have a better idea of like, okay, this is she's doing, do I like this?
Yeah.
Or is it boring? How you said.
Or she's like me, she got purple hair.
Exactly.
And she's doing
yes,
it.
even something like that.
So
yeah.
I could do it.
Definitely.
Yeah. I love that. I think that it's important to, you know, be mentors even virtually, and it became more important like, you know, over the last year with the pandemic. I'm curious about who mentored you and who were those people, particularly women, if you did have women to look up to, or Black women to look up to in your field that really, you know, pushed you, and if you didn't have any, just how that affected you.
Definitely. When I was younger, I would definitely say it was my dad that was pushing us, me and my sister both, into the sciences and telling us we could be whatever we wanted to be. But when I got to college, there was a woman. She was over the diversity in science program. Her name is Dr. Zenefia Evans, and she is like legendary to all the Black kids in science at Purdue because she really had that figure. She was like a strong authority figure, but she was also gentle and motherly, and she was like guiding us and leading us. I definitely would not have graduated at all with the bachelor's if it were not for her. So, and there's so many people that have that same story. I think that's a very important position to have, diversity science office, because they didn't have that at the University of Virginia. And I always just felt like that's such a disservice to the minority science students at that school that they don't have someone that has their back like that. So I guess that's another person that's inspired me to want to be that for people at school. So I try to mentor people. People don't want to listen to me sometimes, but you know, I try to. I have students that work in the lab, and so I try to like steer them in the right direction as best I can.
Oh, that is awesome. Think about that level of impact. We were just talking the other day about, you know, professors or people in universities who are they're there like forever, or what seems to be forever.
Yeah,
and
it's
think about
forever.
the generations, like the amount of people they touch, or you know, that their words can affect. So using that power for good, and her having that influence, and that influence now leaves Purdue and then like goes all around the country or all around the world. Like that is impact. So you said Dr. Evans.
Dr. Evans.
Shout out to Dr. Evans. We see you, we appreciate you, we aspire to be you.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Okay, well my follow-up question to that, you know, there have been, you know, those people that inspire us and those people that, you know, kind of make the road easier, but there have to be some hurdles along the way. And so what were some of your biggest challenges, whether they be you talked about the math being a hurdle, but what were some of the other were there particular barriers that you encountered being a Black woman, you know, in this field, and, you know, potentially at a predominantly white institution? Like what were the types of hurdles that you had to overcome?
Definitely there are going to be people that genuinely just don't want you around.
Sad face.
Based on you being a woman, number one.
Yeah.
And then how dare you be a Black woman,
How dare you?
number two. And I think that those are challenges that I've had to overcome. But I actually went to therapy today and we were talking about this.
Yes, therapy come through.
There may be things. There could potentially be situations in your past where you could have failed, but that doesn't make you a failure. So we were talking about teasing out those two things where, and like we said, you fail faster, so you have failed, but it doesn't make you a failure. So just moving forward. And then also she was telling me that I can't internalize what other people think about me, because that's on you, right? That's on you. And you're wrong. So what am I supposed to do about that?
Yeah. For what?
So definitely there are going to be people that put themselves, like I would have thought it was just the calculus that was holding me back. But no, there are whole institutions that are built around trying to keep us out of places that we rightfully belong. But you just have to keep in mind that you belong just as much as anybody else does. So
Well, I love that.
Yes, come with the
phrase,
word today. Yes.
Failing, it doesn't make you a failure.
It doesn't
and I
make you a
think that
failure.
in science, we've talked about this as well. It's a career full of failure, just off rip, because if you're doing anything experimental or
Yeah.
you're doing there's like 90% of it is failure, so that's built in, but not internalizing that, as you said, that isn't a reflection of me. It's not a reflection of your abilities, and so I think that is like amazingly sound advice. And again, shout out to therapists out there helping scientists and women in STEM every day, because
That's a really good way to put it. Like when you do an experiment, the experiment very well could fail, but that's still an important learning lesson.
that's right.
You can still write up failures and get failures published.
Yes.
So why would you hold that against yourself? You
Oh,
know?
for real?
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, well, because most of it's failure.
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about that.
Okay.
We're gonna talk about that in a whole other
Yeah.
video. Okay. Let me tell you how to get used to failure
To failure.
and become a success.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I can appreciate you wanting to share a lot of these viewpoints on, your platform and just sharing your personality, because again, I think it's a misnomer that women in STEM are like, you're trying to be like a guy, or you're trying to act like a man, or you're not into hair or makeup or fashion or whatever because you're, a nerd or whatever. And I just love that you're out there being fabulous and fly and still informing, your audience about, what your day-to-day is like. So I can appreciate that.
Thank you. And I just think that, like, right here, there's probably so many different personalities, and it's all important for everybody to see.
Yeah.
You might identify with me, or you might identify with you, or you. It doesn't matter, because whatever you are, you can see yourself as a scientist. Just come on, we want you.
Or an IT professional.
Or an IT,
Or an IT
professional. Or whatever you want to be. Like,
or whatever it is.
representation is so important.
Yeah.
So just hopefully that I'm a part of that conversation.
And I love that you started off with this idea of I want to be an astronaut, because a lot of us, have different goals, at a younger age, but just that interest and that natural curiosity that I think is naturally in a person who is going to succeed in STEM, it remains. So you still have those general curiosity characteristics that keep you in the same realm, so I think that that's really, really
I
cool.
still want to be an astronaut. I applied last year.
Shout out, who would be watching? Lance from NSYNC, if you're watching. First of all, why are you watching this?
Yeah.
But if
I
you're
haven't
watching,
heard back.
Yeah.
They haven't said no.
NASA,
They
what's up?
haven't said no. I'm pretty sure they're not picking anybody this last season, but
Oh, wow. Okay.
I thought I was proud of myself to just apply. Because what do you have to
What do you have to?
What am I
I'm
going to
gonna shoot
say
my
no?
shot. Okay, so this is a real STEM cis talk.
Yes.
Check out for me. And I'm not
So-
gonna give up. I'm only, in my 30s. It's
Yeah.
fine. I have 10 more
You
years
have
to apply.
time,
Yeah.
for sure.
Plenty of time.
For sure. Well, this has been an absolute delight. Again, for our first episode, like in person,
Yes.
you were like perfect. This is amazing. I want the audience to know how they can keep up with you, how they can follow you, and the type of content they can expect from following you and keeping up with you.
Definitely, you can
Okay.
find me online at Glitter and Geodes on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Facebook.
Yes.
Everything is Glitter and Geodes. If you're interested in fun science content that's relatable and easily digestible, come on over. We would love to have you.
Yay. And just side note, because again, I'm from the older contingency here.
Okay.
What do you do on TikTok? What do you do on TikTok? What is...
I made one TikTok video so far and
Okay.
for my science page, and it was a rocket. I made a rocket out of like a 2-liter pop bottle.
okay.
Back when they first launched. SpaceX had some launches last summer when they
Okay.
were going up, and I was like, oh, well, this is how you can do a rocket at home. But now I honestly just genuinely love TikTok. It's
Oh my God.
do you so you don't get
I love
Okay.
TikTok,
They're
but
a
I
little
watch.
bit younger.
But I watch
A little bit
TikToks.
younger.
I don't,
You don't
make
make
them.
them.
it's a little challenging to make them, but I just
That's the
genuinely love
part.
being on TikTok. I feel like it's educational, it's fun, it's just
Okay.
it
never know.
it's
We can
crazy.
venture. And I just got this iPhone. So man, I'm still figuring out. There's no button on here, so
I got a TikTok account. I
I
got all the
can't.
things. Listen.
Yes.
The way that TikTok is like a rabbit hole.
Oh, it's a
For-
time sunk. Oh, absolutely.
for the funniest content ever.
It can't be longer than a minute, so you just
So you're just
scrolling.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, it's the next morning. And
Next
you're
thing you know, it's
why is
3 in the
this
morning, and you're like, oh my god.
So I am
Yeah.
interested in ways to communicate science in a more palatable way. Like I've seen
TikTok.
folks on TikTok, you know, explaining salary negotiations in STEM and explaining like certifications and stuff that you need for. So you know, you never know. The STEM sisters, once they
Come on.
figure out how to get an account and log in and how the front camera works, you never know. We
No,
could foray into TikTok. You never know. Until then, we'll be watching yours.
Okay.
Watch her. Also, ours might be a dance, because who are we kidding?
We'll just be doing dancing and doing our makeup.
What to
Okay?
see? Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
There's tons of makeup
We do other
tutorials.
stuff.
Yes.
So,
Absolutely.
awesome.
And I think that's important to see. People doing makeup, scientists and IT professionals doing makeup and doing dances, because that we do it all here in Science Land.
You can
It's
be
true.
fun.
You can be fun. You can be lit. Have the kids still say?
I don't think so.
Oh, then
I don't
oh,
know.
okay.
I'm not sure.
You guys, I'm not sure. That's why I asked. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. If you have gotten this far in the video, go ahead and hit that like button. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you've checked out, you know, some of our other videos, go ahead and talk about those and how you loved them. And hit the subscribe button if you so choose to help us out. Follow us on Instagram at STEM Sisters. And now we are tweeting.
Uh-oh.
We're on the Twitters. You can also follow us on Twitter at STEM Sisters and also on Facebook. And I guess potentially, eventually on the TikTok.
On the
And let us
TikTok.
know in the comments
Do you
your
want us?
intersectionality. Like, let us know, like, are you in STEM but you also love to cook? You're
Yes.
in STEM but you also love makeup.
Yeah.
Let us know
You're
that
in STEM
stuff.
and you be making your own wigs because that's what we've been doing.
Okay.
That's what we let us know. We're interested.
Yes.
So until next time, guys. Thank you.
Take care.